Me
You know
make my
what's
own
funny
YouTube
is
videos.
the two videos that I made by myself has gotten us new subscribers,
That's
and
what I'm
nothing
saying.
else does.
I think it has to be me at this point because I. Hey everyone, and welcome to part two of Brandon. Scoot your head a little bit, please. E?
The title has changed. It's
Yes, it has.
evolved. Now it's ROMs. Endangering physical media.
So last week I kind of gave my whole spiel about it, right? And I kind of took over most of the episode because Brandon had notes he wanted to elaborate further on. So edited the video. It was a nice little breeze. I think that 30-minute, this one was shorter than that, but I think that 30-minute thing really is a good time slot for us. I think more people would watch it, although I wish they would watch the hour-long ones too, but whatever. Anyway, so while my whole point of that though is while editing the video, I kind of thought maybe I'm not as passionate about this as I thought. I have some very strong opinions about it. But it was so funny because the week following since I've done that episode, I haven't even thought about emulating anything or preserving anything or loading up the ROM dumper. I just kind of been sticking what I'm used to. In
Yeah.
fact, I've just been improving what I already have with that M cable, which I cannot wait to talk about as special features.
Sure.
Yes. So
Yeah. So before we get any further, first off, I'm being very patriotic and wearing a July 4th shirt because today is July 5th. So,
yes.
so Lucas is not. So, just keep that in mind. I care, he doesn't, whatever. I'm kidding, obviously, but so ROMs, right? I found it out last episode. It's read-only media. And it is basically, to sum it up, if you did not watch the last episode or if it's been a week since you watched the last episode, they are like copies of a video game, let's say, from any system that tricks your computer into thinking that it is said system. So if you're like, I want to play Everything or Nothing for PlayStation 2, well, you can open that up and it's a copy of Everything or Nothing on PlayStation 2. And then your computer goes, I'm a PlayStation 2 now. And then it plays.
Yes. Through the emulator, of course. So you do have to have and there are many different kinds of emulators, usually about 2 or 3 per mainstream console. So there's a lot of different options out there if you want to go about doing that.
Sure. And, this was started off by a conversation that Lucas and I were having. Again, if you didn't watch the last video, he was going to convert his, Wii into something that is also half an emulator as well.
Oh, you can't see it, but there's a little flash drive still sticking out of the back of it, glowing orange. You can't see it though.
And he was like, I am gonna try to play ROMs on this. And I was like, no offense, but I hope it doesn't work out for you. And I said that because I have an issue with ROMs. I think that they absolutely are, endangering
as the board
physical
suggests.
media. Exactly. And the last episode was ROMs, the way of the future. And that's still sort of the subject as well today, because despite what I think about it, that doesn't mean that that's going to change anything. But hopefully, I don't know, somebody out there will be on my side in this. There's a situation.
There's millions of people on the same side, on the fence, or on the other side of the fence. There's some people who refuse to do physical media at all for these old games. Like they take that argument that I said about the game company not existing anymore, like really seriously. I
Yeah.
can't do that. I think that's a little silly. I think that's a little
Like
over the
like
top.
this is not hurting anybody for
Yeah,
me
they
to
don't do
do
it
this.
whatsoever.
So then they go and do it, and it's like, well, there's
Hmm.
people that are getting hurt out there. Um, and you might not care, but I care. And the people that are getting hurt by this are resellers. Now, this brings us into a very interesting conversation, right? Because Lucas is partially under the understanding that if you resell something for market value, that you are a scalper, right? That's what you believe.
Well, I didn't use the
And
word scalper like at all in the other video, just to make a
you did
bigger
not.
distinction.
You
Yes,
did not, which was good.
I'm being mentally cognizant, trying to give myself some fucking credibility here.
Indeed. And I'm happy you didn't, because I would have been derailed on a tangent, and I would have had to start getting into my notes, because that's what my notes are actually about, was that whole side of the conversation, and not so much the other side of the
Hmm.
conversation that we had,
The
which is
only thing
probably
I
why it
have
was
to
so
say
quick.
about scalpers, well, like the PS5 scalpers are fucking stupid.
Correct.
That's a different thing, I guess. But like I said in the last video, the only thing I can really say about scalpers in my video game bubble, because that's the whole thing I was looking at it through, right? Just the
Mm-hmm.
people who have 15 Super Nintendos just sitting, in their basement. You know what I mean? Just waiting to resell them, waiting for when the time is right. And if that's your market, fine, whatever. But that's still 15 less Super Nintendos for people to enjoy that really want to have one. You know what I'm saying? So
Right.
I was thinking a little bit about this again over the week, and games going for more money. Yeah, I guess it's annoying. I don't like paying over $100 for a game, and I typically never do. It has to be a game that I really, really want to get. But there are, and again, as far as emulation is concerned, I was mentioning like the older systems that like you never heard of and nobody ever will play. You know what I mean? So it's nice to have them documented in that kind of form. But if you compare that to something like N64, for example, which didn't sell anywhere near as much as the Super Nintendo and NES before it, right? There's still millions of those games out there. There's still millions of copies of
Mm-hmm.
Mario 64, even though there's only 296 games in the North American library, which is really small, but a lot of them go for quite a bit of money. Now, I think Nintendo's going to keep holding its value, but I mean, in another 20 years from now, the younger generation's not going to be caring about this. The people who got these things already got it. So I don't know. I think the prices will start to decrease again. It's a reseller's dream right now, especially with video games. So I mean, not that my stance has totally changed on it, but I mean, if you want to go resell it, fine. I guess the market will determine if it's going to sell, and people do. I saw like a Steel Battalion controller, I think was what the game was. It's like on the original Xbox. It's like a mech
Okay.
game. It's an exclusive, but it came with like a controller that was worth, or back in the day, the controller was like $150, but it was like a mech cockpit, and it was like 5 pieces that you put together with all these things to control the game. So the game isn't the same if you play with a controller. But that controller was going for like, I saw like someone talking about it on YouTube for like $15,000. Somebody was selling it for it because there's so
Wow.
few of them. And God, could you imagine being on the giving and receiving end of that one, getting $15,000 for a controller that cost you like 100 times less than that or whatever, or 10 times less, whatever. You know what I mean? And then the guy that's
Yeah.
going to be paying like the price of a really nice used car.
If they have the money, then
I
I
guess
guess
more
it's
power to
okay.
him, but
Yeah.
but again, in another 20 years from now, when the Xbox is 40 years old and it's at Atari status, and that's a real dinosaur system, I don't think that
Mm-hmm.
controller is going to be worth diddly dick. It might. I could be totally wrong. And again, there's more of that. And Xbox and Nintendo and Sony are still going, so there's more nostalgia for it as to where Atari, bye bye, Sega, is a complete
Mm,
former shell of what it used to be.
they still work though.
They do, but it's
Even the
not on the same
Commodore
level.
64.
I would love to get a Commodore 64 Mini with the actual keyboard and like plug it into like a
Yeah.
TV and just mess around with it, see what it would be like, just as a novelty thing.
Not good.
Yeah, it'd still be cool though. Anyway, so um
Yeah. I
I
don't
guess I
like
kind of
this
made my
version of
point.
Lucas. This is
Why?
no good. I was
Because
was
I'm
ready and rearing for an argument here.
Oh, it's so funny. I was trying to be hippy dippy about it. But like I
not
said,
like not like a heated argument, but like
yeah,
a like a argument in like the most like a debate.
okay.
That's the better way to put it.
But I'm
But you're
also
not
part of
giving
that
that to me.
huge. All right, fine then. If you want to take one of my favorite fucking games of all time, Harry Potter, and try to tell me that's worth $150, no, it's not happening. I love it. I can't defend it. Go play it on the GameCube emulator. That is the best emulated version of that game. It's great. It's great. As I'm playing it on my Xbox with the fucking M cable
Yeah, yeah.
stretched to this. So I feel like a hypocrite, but no, I
Um,
I totally advocate for these older games though. It's all about the older stuff because I don't want to line the reseller like that because it's kind of irritating for something that I can get a very similar experience. Like there are times where I've even considered this, but I haven't pulled the plug because it might be a little expensive, but it sounds cool for older systems like the NES, the Super Nintendo that end up being better to play on an emulator anyway because you get your save states and whatnot. You get all your filters that you can apply to it. You can upscale it, make it look really, really damn good. Because whatever you do with the NES, I mean, it's really hard to get it to look good on an HD TV. It's like next to impossible. So I've thought about buying like those
yeah.
generic third party like wireless controllers that look like a Super Nintendo, looks like an NES, looks like Genesis controller, just get like the main ones and then play them off that because I don't know. And also in terms of space, I have so much shit that is against that wall, and then the garbage bags and boxes, and oh my god, dude! Like I
The
at this point,
chords.
oh my god, yeah, I'll put up a video, guys, of like I was thinking of making a video like strapping my phone to my head and called P like make a way short called POV. Lucas tries to play a system, and it has to go through 7 converter boxes to even get on the TV
Yeah, yeah.
and like over exaggerated to make it a very stressful
I've never
situation.
seen anything like it before in my life,
Oh
except
my
for
god.
like Christmas time at my dad's house. And there's just so many chords, that I have to go through to, get
But
them
I only have
ready
like
to be put
two.
outside.
I have 4 fully loaded power strips down here, but I only have one going at a time. I always turn the other ones off that I'm not using because that shit is a fire hazard too. Because there's just so many
Yeah.
systems over there, and the ones that are on that black like bookcase, the ones on the top like the Switch and the Xbox, those are the ones I use. But everything else, I have other ways of playing them, so I don't even have them connected. Because if I did, that mess of cords next to the CRT would literally be doubled. So it's absolutely ridiculous. Thank God the N64 composite cable can be used with N64, GameCube, and Super Nintendo. So I just have one of those. It's very nice.
Yes. Thankfully for that.
Yes. So I mean, just in terms of money and space, like I don't even think I can afford to keep buying this shit. Like on price charting, I gave up at my collection being worth like 5 grand because I just couldn't continue logging all this shit.
Mm,
And the price, my old price charting account that I made in 2017 compared to the one that I updated in 2022, everything like tripled in value. It's fucking insane. Dude,
yeah.
the
Yeah.
average price of a GameCube and PS2 game is like 30 bucks. And that's an average game, like not even the expensive ones. So it's
The
like,
pandemic played a major
yes.
part in this, as did, for whatever reason, the Russian Ukraine war. Don't know why, but it
Yeah.
did.
Well, speaking of the
Everything has gone up
pandemic,
since then.
I'll tell you this. Here's a fun fact that leads right into this. I paid a reseller a very pretty penny to get Ring Fit Adventure for the Switch in the very height of the pandemic because that game you could not find it for like 10 months straight. It was absolutely insane. The game cost $70 to get that aerobic ring, the strap for your leg, and the game itself. You know what I paid for it?
Well, it's at the store for how much first? Tell
70.
me that. 70. You paid 150.
You're close. It wasn't over. It was a little bit less than double it. It was I paid $130 for it.
Okay,
And
that's not bad.
here's I know, but here's the thing though. Like I keep discouraging all this. $130 game, eat my ass. But I have to tell you this though. Like remember when I said a long time ago about like what does that game mean to you? I played that game religiously and lost a shitload of weight, and that game was worth every fucking reseller penny I paid for it. So I guess I just shot myself in the foot.
Mm-hmm. So in the last episode, I mentioned a couple things. One is the old lady with the plate,
Yes.
that finds out that it is worth $1 million, right? And I didn't want to go much further than that, but that old
Yes.
lady can then sell that plate for $1 million or a little bit less than it, whatever she can strike a deal with. And that's awesome. This is a plate that she's had since 1932, let's say. And it turned out that over the years, it became really valuable for some reason.
Mm-hmm.
Now, she does that, and that doesn't mean anything. That doesn't mean she's a scalper or anything. She's just taking advantage of, whatever the current market value is, which is awesome. And it's being a capitalist, which is what this country runs on. Somebody that either is interested in seriously buying or just has a Captain Kirk mask, a 1974 Captain Kirk mask sitting in her closet. Side note, the picture you showed in the last episode was a
Oh God, you're gonna say it was a reproduction.
it was an
Oh,
indie. It was an indie mask. It's very obvious when it's the
oh
real
no.
thing because it's
Yeah,
very
I'm sorry. I would have
orange.
no idea.
Bad,
Other than it looking
bad
like Captain Kirk.
Lucas. I will send you a picture of the real thing.
Yes, I'll
They're
take down
they're
the whole
like
video.
it's
Change it.
super, like comparing them side by side, it's super obvious. They're like bigger and they're very orange, and you can see it in the hair, and it just has all that history to it.
Yes.
While yeah, the one you had is just a copy from an indie maker that you just get, converted into a Myers mask. But not sure what the company was. It might have been NAG. It was a profile shot, so I couldn't really tell. So it really could be from any of a few companies, but
Michael Myers super fan, guys.
correct. But yes, reproduction. Um, at least it wasn't like a shitty reproduction though. That would have been funny.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
Yes.
So at least there's that. And somebody that is going to go buy that is going to spend $100,000 or more, right?
Mm-hmm.
And is there anything wrong with that? I don't think so. It's such a rare mask that it's like, even there's so few that are in existence because some have rotted away.
I was gonna say, let alone the
um
condition of the ones that still exist. So
exactly, they mostly have to get foam filled. Like if you want to actually keep them in good condition, you foam fill them so they can't be worn anymore, and they become simply a display piece. So you're not putting that thing on your head unless you want to destroy it. And that's just how it is. Again, that comes back a little bit to the whole video game thing where it's like, well, the purpose of it is playing it. Well, if you're a collector, maybe not. Maybe you do just want to set it behind some
yeah,
glass
and that
and
just
put it in a
literally
display
just
case.
hurts me so much.
Does it hurt you in the same way that people can't wear a Captain Kirk mask anymore?
No, I
Right.
think I think the Captain Kirk mask. Yeah, I would never want to wear something like that because there's so few many of them. It's such a historic thing, I guess.
Yeah.
And I totally can see the argument, but
And
eh,
it was even
eh,
cheaper. These games at least were what, $40, like a GameCube game, $40,
yes,
$50
for
when
your
they were
average
new.
one, I guess.
The
Oh yeah,
Captain
yeah, when
Kirk
they're new.
mask was $5. Obviously there's inflation and stuff, and looking into it, that makes it worth about $30 in today's standards, but still cheaper. That's my
Yes.
point. Still cheaper. Or go cheaper than that, the Beatles record, Yesterday and Today, right? We talked about that briefly in the last episode as well. You showed a
Mm-hmm.
picture of it. Or another Beatles record, which is the Sgt. Pepper Lonely Hearts Club Band that used to have Gandhi in it, and Gandhi had to
Oh
be
wow.
removed from the front of it. Those copies that still have Gandhi on the front of it are worth good money. You know what I'm saying? So you're not playing those records unless you want to potentially damage something that is worth that much money, or a Scream mask, a Gen 1 Ghostface, Weeping Ghost mask, whatever, before Scream was even a glimmer in Wes Craven's eye.
Yes.
Those masks were released, and those ones you're more okay with wearing because they're made out of vinyl and not latex. But you're still endangering the cloth shroud on it. You could rip that, and they go for $1,000 and up. I just saw one sell recently. I think I mentioned in the last episode that they go, as high as 2,500. One just sold for $5,000, I believe. So,
wow, that's Scream
yeah.
6 hype.
Not maybe not though. It's still a ways off, so I don't know. So
That was like
basically
a
my
half
whole
serious
point with
statement,
this,
but
they went a little bit up with Scream, Scream 2022, Scream 5
understandably so
for the
as I call
uninitiated. When that movie was hyping up, the prices went up a little bit, but they've been steadily going up over the years because they're not produced anymore. I mean, honestly, that's what it comes down to, is, are these things that are produced anymore? And you might say, well, in these instances, though, it does, there is a bit of a difference because there isn't like copies of these things that you get for cheaper. I guess
maybe
technically the reproduction of these masks, you could say, but
maybe in like
it's not
100
as good as the
years
real
you
thing.
can get a 3D printed file that prints out the different hair texture and latex, and it makes a shitty like it looks good, but it's not a very practical one, but you'll be able to print the file of it or something. I don't know.
People do that. They 3D scan Captain Kirk masks. And it still is it's not nearly as good as the real thing, because it's
Oh, for sure.
latex
And
and
then
it moves around,
and I hate when people, and this is like, I guess you could apply it here, but no one's going to be spending that much money and getting a fake one. You know what I mean? Unless they get duped somehow.
not that much money.
Yeah,
no.
yeah. But like for video games, you know how many people get fucking scammed with reproduction cartridges on eBay, where
because they
someone
make them so good.
where they take that ROM and they put it onto a different board. If you open it up, you can tell that it's a different board. But without opening it up, like to the human eye, like it's almost indistinguishable. And like the labels are brand new, so that should be a dead giveaway. Like a 30-year-old game should probably not look brand new.
Well,
in some cases they do, but I mean,
shout out to Sean Clark. I'm gonna say his name again because you didn't show a picture of him last time. He is somebody that owns a Captain Kirk mask, a real one, from the same lineage as the one used in Halloween, the original, as well as the second one for people that don't know. And he also has a brand new inbox Halloween for Atari. I mean, it is like flawless condition, and he has like taken it out and stuff for pictures. And that one is, every bit of looking brand new.
How much would you say that costs? I haven't researched the price of a Halloween
10
inbox.
$10,000, yeah.
Oh my god.
Somewhere in that vicinity. He might have gotten like a deal at maybe a horror convention or something, but a deal, would be like $8,000. You know what I'm saying? So
yeah, that's loading up the Atari emulator and trying it out.
Just getting the cartridge itself is a minimum of $1,000. So
did you have the one with the taped on logo when the company was going out of business, or the one that has the actual box art?
Box art.
Okay, that's even I think that might even be rare.
Yeah,
because I've only ever seen the on YouTube. I've seen like the Halloween one, like AVGN was my first exposure to that game existing. So always saw it like that.
I've seen a few of them, not in person, but there is one as well that is like a double cartridge with Texas Chainsaw Massacre. That one is worth the least out of the bunch. You can get a cartridge that it's called like a double header, I think, a double header cartridge. Like you put it one way or you can flip it over and put it in the other way.
Oh yeah, yeah, that was
Um,
common back then.
and those are like, maybe $500
See, I
for
would
that.
almost okay if I became like overnight a bigger Texas Chainsaw and Halloween fan, and then I just got a working Atari or an Atari clone. See, that's somewhat feasible for something that fucking rare. But goddamn, man, 10 grand. Whew, oh boy. And
Yeah.
I understand the
Again,
condition
that's
of it,
complete
but
in
yeah,
box. The obviously just the cartridge alone is easier to come across, but their boxes were like N64 boxes. They were not made to last whatsoever. So
not
um
whatsoever.
no. So sometimes I will check eBay and I will see like a manual for the game pop up for like $500, $600, and that's just the manual. And I'm like, I don't want that. I'd rather have, if I could have any part of it, if I could not get a complete in-box version, is the cartridge. I would want just the cartridge.
Yes.
But not the one with Texas Chainsaw, unfortunately. So yeah, and people that sell these, any of these things I just mentioned, they are not scalpers because it is next to impossible to get even more than just one of these things. You know what I'm saying? Nobody is
Yes.
hoarding, 25 Captain Kirk masks that they
And if
got
they
back in
did, they would be a
1974.
millionaire. Or
Um,
they made Back to the
yeah,
Future 4, and that was part of the timeline of events.
yes, that would be me. I'd be buying them for myself though. So yeah, and this was something that I sent you as well, that I was like, well, I'm gonna look up because I feel personally attacked here because I am a capitalist. I am somebody that sells things at market value regularly, but I also regularly buy things at market value. There's give and take here in this whole situation. So I'm like, well, what is a scalper exactly? How is that defined? Well, it's defined as, says a scalper in the context of market supply demand theory. Don't know what that is.
We're
Also
going
refers
college
to
educated.
a person who buys large quantities of in demand items, such as large quantities of in demand
So what is a
items.
large quantity? What quantification have they put on
It
that?
doesn't say, it just says large quantities. So probably, it's that person that bought 10 or 20 PS5s, but there's more. A person that buys large quantities of in demand items, such as new electronics or event tickets at regular price. That's also a big one too, because I rarely buy things at a regular price. I usually buy it for higher and hoping that the item sells out. That's another big one too. Okay. So there's three parts of this that are really popular, that are that we should focus on. Three things we should focus on. So large quantities is number one. Number two, they have to be new items. And number three,
So you're telling me you can't scalp 15 Game Boys? That just
can't,
doesn't exist.
I would say no. I would say that's not scalping.
Then
At
you're
least not
just
by the Merriam-Webster's
well,
definition of
then I
scalping.
guess I guess we'll play the semantic game again. Then
So
you're just a reseller that hoards a bunch of shit to resell
I guess
and doesn't
so,
use
but
it.
yeah. So again, starting off from the beginning because I was interrupted. Um, large quantities, new items, and they hope that they sell out. That's a big part of it as well. These items are supposed to sell out. The scalper then resells the items at a higher price. And yeah, so at least by definition, that's what a scalper is. So I personally am somebody, in my opinion, has never scalped anything. There's times where I have an extra item, one singular extra item that I sell for market price because what do I care? These people aren't my friends. I'm not doing them any favors. I did a favor for one person one time that I didn't know personally, and there was these ceramic Michael Myers statues that lit up at Spirit Halloween, and each store only got 2 of them at a time. And I came across 2 of them, so I bought both of them. And I went on to the Michael Myers group on Facebook, and I said, the first person that responds to me, I will sell this to you at the price that I paid for it at.
How nice of
And
you.
they just had to pay for shipping, obviously, because I wasn't going to pay for shipping. And that is the one time that I did that. And it's because I felt like, these items are like so rare, and there are so many people that desperately wanted their hands on these things and just couldn't get it. And so I was like, okay, I'll help these people out, a fellow Michael Myers fan. But in
Cool, a backhanded
general,
way of saying try before you buy and then go get one.
yes,
Because these rare expensive items are rare and expensive and a lot of people want them.
correct. So yeah,
Yes,
in
ma'am.
general though, that's what I do. I sell things at whatever the given market value is, or I try
Well,
to
in your
at
case, you kind
least.
of have to because you're going to be stuck with 17 steel books of the same movie that you can't return to Best Buy.
Those get
So
returned. So the only time that I will, keep one of them is if, and again, I'm not trying to make any friends out there, like out in the marketplace. I'm not trying to be Mr. Popular out there. Once again, I am a, cold-blooded American capitalist, right?
Brandon makes it
So
sound like I'm like a fucking like I'm waving CCP flags in my car and I have, a communist party flag. I hate
yeah.
America.
Um, so yeah, so in those instances where I will actually sell something that I have one additional copy of, it's something that is particularly rare. So I will take advantage of that situation. Is that right or wrong? I don't know, but I sometimes will do that. Like with I don't know, like anything, maybe Spider-Man No Way Home had a more popularity to it than Eternals, which I just returned to Best Buy because I always buy 2 of them. I've talked about this before. I buy 2 steelbooks hoping that one of them will arrive in good condition. And people are not nearly as particular as I am, so they will happily buy something with a spine slash on it, and it doesn't mean anything to them. So yeah, and
I have a few spine slashes, and you know what? Just sits there. It is what it is.
yeah, I can't stand it. Because ultimately it devalues them if you're ever going to resell them. And oftentimes I do. And when I went from Blu-ray to 4K, there is tons of Blu-ray steelbooks that I had to sell off. I'm still in the process of it. I have some right here. Most of
Yes.
them I might just end up being stuck with them, which is fine, but people, I have gotten like a bit of a reputation in the steelbook community for having it sounds so stupid, for having perfect steelbooks. Like people don't even have to ask me for pictures because I have developed this reputation. Like they know if I have it and I'm selling it, it's in perfect condition, which is true. Because
Very good.
I make a point of only allowing that kind of stuff into my collection, very painstakingly. It is a pain in my ass, but also, you know nobody out there can make fun of me because it's a mental illness. So, you know
As
so
I'm
think about
laughing.
that. Hey,
As I'm laughing. As I just
yeah,
chuckled.
yeah. uh yep,
Wow,
yep.
now you
And
make me feel like a jerk for saying
i'm
how
not
tired I am by looking at your collection.
I'm not somebody that, goes, I have OCD, meaning that I just think I have it. Like, no,
You
I'm
saw
actually
you saw a TikTok
diagnosed
that
with
said that
it.
you had it and you
Right. Or you went to WebMD. No, I'm diagnosed with it. I take medication for it. Medication that doesn't work.
I was gonna say I don't think it works.
Yeah, you should see me without it.
I don't know
Um,
if I want to.
just think about that. So Yeah, I've had OCD since I was 3 years old, and it's just a part of my life. But usually it benefits me. I mean, you look at like an episode of the show that I've edited, you can tell that this was made by somebody with OCD, like
Yes.
every single little tiny thing is taken care of. But that has a bad side to it as well. They take forever to edit, and I'm not somebody that can get something done usually in just a week, while Lucas has that ability. So there's good and bad sides to it. I don't know how we got into this, but but yeah. So ultimately, at the end of the day, I think that it's just, that is what the definition said there. That's somebody who's a scalper. I don't personally agree with that. It annoys the hell out of me, especially in the steelbook community. People buy up 20, 30 steelbooks because they have the money to. I don't have the money to, and I wouldn't if I did. I sort of look at people that do that as people that are
Fucking
like
scumbags.
autograph hounds, like people that go, it's their job to track down celebrities, get 20 things signed from them. Like, you're bothering the celebrity by doing it, you're leeching off of them, and you are then selling all of them for profit, right? I look at that as the same type of thing. But if somebody who's a collector has an extra autograph, they have one extra autograph that they're like, I'll let this leave my collection, and they sell it for a high price, that person's not a scalper. That's basically the whole point of this. A scalper
Yes,
is a
that
very
makes sense.
specific person that is the scum of the earth, in all honesty. And if ROMs hurts those people, I'm okay with it. But unfortunately, they hurt everybody in the marketplace. They hurt.
But I mean,
Because
how many working PS2s are there going to be in 200 years?
well, we said this in the last episode. You can
Yes,
always
you
replace
can
the
find
parts.
these pieces, but they're not going to make aftermarket parts for 200 years. And who's going to give a fuck about fixing one in 200 years? Maybe you want to play the game,
Most of
but
the parts
it's
are not
preservation is the
proprietary,
biggest thing. Oh,
meaning that
there's quite a few on
you
these.
can
When you're getting down to like a circuit board level, yes, you can't just
a
go and make
circuit board,
another
yes.
chip.
How often do circuit boards go bad though on PS2s?
Well,
It's
think about
definitely
it.
not common.
You see the lights that surge down here. A light
Uh-huh.
surge can fry up a power supply or a board. A bolt of
Unless you have
lightning
it in
can do
a
that.
power strip. If you have it in a power strip, that will not happen.
But it can happen. I'm just saying. There's
Not in a power strip though.
and then not only that, think of how many of these game systems are just in shitty condition. Yeah, the PS2 sold 120 million, whatever it is. But how many of them, it's the second PS2 that you had to replace the other one, or I don't know, man. I just they're not gonna exist forever.
I'll tell you this.
And we'll be long gone before
There's
we even
no
see the
need.
effects of this.
True. There's no need
So
to
it's not even
even
going to be my
prepare for
problem.
it. So it's not our problem, and we don't have to even deal with it. And we can't use it as an excuse either, unfortunately. I will concede that in 200 plus years, when it is at a point where it is actually impossible to play a PS2 game, if that ever happens, again, that is a big F. But if that ever happens, then fine. Emulation is the way to go at that point. But there's no need to prepare for something that we're not even going to deal with in our lifetime.
Well, it's a
just like
hobby for some people, really. Just getting a
those
whole
people.
library and making it accessible. I don't have a problem with that.
So
Now, if you're
again,
going to talk about games that are still sold today, like you're going to go do Mario Odyssey or whatever, even though the game came out a few years ago, it's still being sold brand new. You know what I mean? So that I can't say that, but Mario, well, now you can't even say Mario Sunshine, because can you even buy that triple pack anymore? Or is it completely gone?
So there's still a couple stragglers left at stores, which
Came out like 2 years
I
ago, if
don't
I'm
know
not
how many
mistaken.
people know about
Power
that.
Surge.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah, so there's some stragglers out there. That is the only way you can get your hands on that game.
Okay, so then that's not being sold anymore. Okay, then if you're gonna,
Right.
if you want to pirate, if you want to download the ROM, whatever you call it, for Mario 64, you can't buy that anymore. Fine,
I would
whatever.
say no, absolutely not.
Well,
Mario
here then,
64,
yeah, think
that's still
about
something
this.
that's very easy to get your hands on. Just one last thing that in conclusion, I mentioned that I think the people that are autograph hounds are the scum of the earth. I think people that buy up 20, 30 copies of a brand new movie is the scum of the earth, or
Yes,
somebody that bought up all the tickets to a concert and is now selling it at quadruple the price. Scum of the earth. People that only buy people that only deal with ROMs and refuse to buy the physical media or at least digital versions of these things, and the people that pirate movies, they are also the scum of the earth. So that is all together. I'm not saying that people that dabble in it, like you, is the scum of the earth, but people that only do that and
I couldn't,
refuse to do anything else.
I couldn't see myself as like a gamer, so to speak, which I mean, we're already in virgin territory here anyway.
Yeah,
But I couldn't see myself as a gamer that had literally not one fucking disc or cartridge on my shelf. Like that doesn't make
correct.
sense. I'm sorry,
And there's somebody that we work with, and I think he's a great guy. He'll never see this.
but
He promises, but he'll never see it. He's somebody that refuses to go to a movie theater.
that's
Like
fucking stupid.
if
So he has to
he
wait 3 months
if
to see
he
a movie.
sees something like a new movie, he will only do it by pirating or waiting until it actually releases, like digitally or physically.
So
And
watching a
that
fucking
person,
shaky cam copy,
right, right.
how do you
I have
even
another
experience
friend
the
that
full
does that same
movie?
thing.
Because
And
when I was younger, I pirated a shitload of movies because I was a broke like middle schooler. I think everybody had that phase. You know what I mean? Before you grasp the
yeah,
concept of it,
oddly not me.
except for the music you downloaded on Kazaa.
Huzzah! Um, yeah, no, I did that. You know what's funny
Anyway,
though about that is that was all the stuff that I downloaded was rare demos of Marilyn Manson songs. It was
that's
stuff
so
that you
funny.
actually couldn't get any other way, oddly enough. The stuff I could get another way, I did. I just bought it. Or I borrowed it from a friend or whatever.
Well, anyway,
But
I was
that's actually really
broke as a
funny.
broke as a joke as a like a kid. So I pirated
Yeah.
countless fucking movies. You know, I
I
mean,
tried,
I would go see a movie that I liked in theaters for
yeah,
sure. But then I would pirate it the next day. You
I
know what I mean? But then
tried.
movies that I tried to watch with shaky cam,
Yeah,
I don't even get the plot. The audio's all buzzy and shitty, and
there
it's
you
like I don't know
go.
what the fuck is going on, even if I paid attention.
That's
It's
the
like I'm
problem right
watching the movie
there.
drunk. You know what I mean? Like I don't
There
remember
was
half of it.
100%, that's the problem right there. There
Because
was,
half of it's like this is the screen, you're here, it's down in the
yeah,
corner, and it's like
yeah,
the fuck
especially in
am
the
I?
2000s, the early 2000s.
Oh,
It's bad now with iPhones. Imagine how it was then with freaking digital cameras. You know what
oh,
I'm
I
saying? Or
remember every bit of it
camcorders.
because the file would be three fucking parts, and it would be like 6 gigabytes a piece. It would take days to download. The movie
Mm-hmm.
would be on three
Parts of the
discs.
movie would be missing.
It remember
And
TMZ movies or TMD movies, whatever it is. That was a really,
TMZ.
yeah. So it's not TMZ, not that one, but it was. I'll put it up. It was a watermark that was very popular in the mid 2000s of pirated movies. But
Okay.
anyway, so yeah,
I
I don't condone that. I love to have them, but
Yeah, I did it one time with Die Another Day.
okay.
I didn't buy, I got a bootleg copy of it, and it was such trash. And this was after I saw it in theaters opening night on Friday. It wasn't Thursday at that time, but it was
Yep.
Friday. Because I'm such a big James Bond fan, but I wanted to see it again, and I didn't want to go to the theater because I was a kid. And I tried to watch a bootleg of it, and it was so bad. I was like, never again. And I never did, ever again. Like I was like, that's not even sort of worth it.
Yes, it
It wasn't
makes
even a moral quandary at that point. It was just a quality quandary. So
it makes VHS look like Blu-ray.
yeah, yeah, to say the least. It makes Laserdisc or Betamax or whatever look like 4K Ultra
Yes,
HD. But yeah, so that's all.
that's all.
Who knows?
That's all, folks. Do 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 do. Ring the bell. Our little outro.
Yeah, indeed. All right.
Yes.
Bye everybody. Thanks for joining us. I'm sure that was boring as all fuck, but I actually let me take that again. We went so long without swearing. Thanks for
That's fucking
joining us,
impressive.
everybody. We appreciate it.